So what is the best budget CPU for gaming right now? In this video we're gonna be comparing some of the most affordable CPUs in a wide range of popular games. Coming up. Hey, how's it going guys? My name is Robin and on this channel you'll find PC hardware, console accessories and pretty much everything in between. In this video we're gonna be looking at the best budget CPU processor for gaming in 2019. Now at any time during the video feel free to check out the links down below. So again we're gonna be focusing on the budget friendly CPUs this time. It's gonna be a classic battle, AMD versus Intel. On the left side corner we got the Ryzen 2400G and on the right side we got the Core i5-8400. Now, in order to get a better idea how much the CPU potentially bottleneck in games, because lower end CPUs can unfortunately do that, I decided to throw in a much beefier 8-core Ryzen 2700X in this test as a reference. So I've been benchmarking both the Ryzen 2400G and the 2700X myself, but since I don't have the Intel Core i5-8400 to run tests on right now, I carefully looked at benchmarks online on trusted sources such as Gamers Nexus and Tech Power Up to compare with. So I want to give a big shout out to these sites for providing excellent testing results as always. Now before we dig into the numbers and have a look at what frame rates you can expect with these two processors, let's quickly look at the specifications first, because there are some pretty interesting differences between these two you need to be aware of before you make a decision here. Let's start with the $199 Intel Core i5-8400. It's been around for a little while now. It actually came out by the end of 2017. And as the name hints, it's based on the Intel's 8th generation Coffee Lake family 14nm. It's a 6-core, 6-threaded CPU with a base clock of 2.8 and turbo of 4 GHz. It should be added that this turbo number you see guys is just one core being overclocked and not all of them, and this goes for AMD as well by the way. The 8400 comes with built-in graphics that can be useful if you're planning on using the CPU for non-gaming tasks also, but generally speaking it is not powerful enough to play games on it. Now if you're not planning on using the iGPU, Intel actually recently released the slightly updated brother called the 9400F. This one actually comes without the graphics chip at $159 and even performs a few percentage better than the 8400 thanks to the slightly improved IPC and frequency. I'll link both of them up down below guys. Now the biggest drawback with the 8400 and the 9400 in my opinion is the inability to overclock. Technically you can overclock it a bit, but you won't be able to reach the same levels that you can do on an unlocked K model. The Ryzen 2400G on the other hand comes in at $134 currently, so it's slightly cheaper in terms of specs. This one comes with 4 cores and 8 threads with the base clock at 3.6 and turbo at 3.9 GHz. This CPU is however unlocked, which lets you overclock it, and by a few adjustments I was able to reach 3.9 GHz on all cores here. This CPU also has a pretty interesting integrated graphics chip that is capable of running esports titles such as Overwatch, CSGO, Fortnite pretty okay with lower graphics, and so if your budget is tight, a 2400G can be a great option if you want to be able to start gaming right away, even if you haven't saved up for a graphics card yet. For more information about the 2700X, have a look at the details below, but as you can see it is a lot more expensive. So to sum this up, both the processors cost roughly about the same. The Ryzen is slightly cheaper and comes in around $130–140 while the 8400 is a little bit more expensive. But let's look at some performance numbers. So I've tested a total of 8 games in 1080p at the highest settings in DX12, which would typically be the settings that people would aim for. And as for graphics, we're gonna be using an RTX 2060. But now when it comes to general computing performance, for the most part the Ryzen 2400 lags a little bit behind the Intel competition, and that goes for gaming as well, as you can see. Now it's not by a whole lot, but it's a few percentage here and there. The advantage the Ryzen has however is the 2 extra threads. Threads has the ability for each CPU core to execute 2 processes concurrently, a process known known as simultaneous multi-threading, also known as SMT. Intel calls this hyper-threading. The Ryzen offers 8 threads and Intel offers 6, which can provide significant performance improvements if the games are designed to take advantage of it. We are seeing more and more games that are getting developed for this, and so in the future we will see more evidence of that. But if you look at the reality on paper, the Core i5-8400 edges out the Ryzen even so slightly, with a little bit higher maximum clock speed and core count, but it lags a bit behind in thread count. But when we're playing at these higher graphics as we were doing in these examples, the difference is not that obvious. But if we would have dropped the resolution and graphics to the lowest, the gap between the Ryzen and the Intel processor would have been a bit bigger here. But to be 100% frank, how many of us are gonna be playing at 720p and low settings? Not that many probably. So which one is the best processor and which one should you pick? Well, it's a tough question. Again, if your budget is tight, the 2400G would be the best idea, as it offers the complete package including both a CPU and a pretty decent built-in graphics that is powerful enough for 1080p gaming at low in games that aren't too graphically intense, such as Overwatch, Rocket League and Fortnite and CSGO. Yeah, you get the idea. I have tested the built-in Vega graphics in the CPU before. I'll link that video up down below. Keep in mind though that the GPU needs to borrow some of the memory RAM from the system, so you will essentially be running a few gigabytes shorter on the system memory when you're gaming on this, so I highly recommend 16 gigabytes of RAM for that reason. As a side note, I've been gaming with 8 gigs of RAM, and although it is possible, I am unable to have much going on the computer except the game that I'm running at the current time. Intel's processor on the other hand many times reaches the 2700X performance in games, even though it's a lot cheaper thanks to its higher IPC, and this CPU would be the better choice if you're already sitting on a decent graphics card and you're only looking for the fastest CPU available at this price point. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I'm gonna be back with a brand new video in just a day or two. Until then, have an awesome day, right?